Welcome back, everyone, to AP Art History, Unit 1, Global Prehistory 30,000 to 500 BCE. Today, we are going to look at the Great Hall of Bulls from the Lascaux caves in France. So these paintings that we're going to look at today are from the Lascaux Cave network near the village of Montignac in Dordogne in southwestern France. Lascaux was discovered in 1940 and is distinguished by its exceptional quality, the size of the paintings. One bull measures 17 feet long. It's quite big. Its sophistication, and because of how very old it is, estimated to date between 16,000 and 14,000 BCE. The cave contains nearly 2,000 figures that primarily represent large animals, including horses and deer, bison, elk, a few lions, a rhinoceros, and a bear. There are also abstract marks, dots, and lines, creating a variety of patterns and configurations. In one rare image from a different section of the cage, not the Hall of Bulls, there's a human type figure that appears with a bison. Some scholars believe it is an early appearance of narrative. So almost like a graphic novel, because there are no words, of course. Over on the lower right, we see a painting that is referred to as the Chinese horse. This was a modern name given to it because it resembles the ceramic horses made during the Chinese Tang Dynasty. You'll see that these two horses are painted in with red ochre, some black charcoal as well. And then there are some of those dot paintings that we see. These are considered to be naturalistic. The artist has captured the essence of these animals in just a few lines, which also shows great skill. Just like the Apollo 11 stones, we see an attempt to show movement. And because these animals have curvilinear lines, they're not quite as geographic as those animals from the Apollo 11 caves, there is this fluid sense of movement in these animals. Most of the major images have been painted onto the walls using mineral pigments, although some designs have also been incised into the stone with a sharp tool. These paintings are the combined effort of many generations over thousands of years. If you look at this image in the lower right, you will see that there is another animal painted there. So this wasn't done at the same time. This was done at a subsequent time. Or this animal exemplifies what is known as twisted perspective. Like the Apollo 11 animal, the body is depicted in profile, but take a look at the horns. They appear more frontal. Like this example, some images are entirely linear contours and not painted in at all, like the first two examples that I showed you. The animals on the first image from the Cave of the Bulls were described in solid or blended colors. So it gets a little lighter and a little darker in some areas. Let's go back and take a look at that. There you go. You can see that some of it appears to have shadowed areas, but art historians don't think that that's really happening at this point. However, who's to know? We really don't know when it's this early in time and there's no historic writing around it. We don't really know. In order to get this color on the wall, usually, or we think, that the artist had the pigment in their mouth and blew it onto the surface. Anyway, there's also a theory because discarded, hollowed out animal bones have been found, small ones that perhaps they also blew through the animal bones to place the pigment or apply the pigment to the wall. And the bones that have been found bear traces of pigment. So that's a pretty good guess as to what they were used for. Coming back to this guy who appears to be a cow or an aurochs, which is a larger cow. What really is interesting to me is how the artists, with an economy of line, captured the essence of these animals. Cleverly, the drawing has been placed where the stone bulges out. So it creates a feeling or it indicates the volume of the animal's belly. Note the naturalistic, curvilinear, calligraphic characteristic of the line. These are very, very skilled artists. However, they may not have been seen as we see an artist who creates drawings. These people probably were shamans. They believe that even about the Apollo 11 drawings, that these were shamanistic drawings. So shamans were considered intermediaries between the human and the spirit world. Brown, black, yellow, and red, what we would refer to now as earth colors, were painted onto white limestone. These colors could be made from natural sources such as ochre, hematite, iron oxide, and manganese. Evidence exists that artists drew the outline first and then filled it with pigment for the ones that were filled with pigments. The discovery of the monumental Lascaux cave in 1940 brought with it a new era in our knowledge of both prehistoric art and human origins and development. For an advanced understanding of this work beyond the contextual information and factual information that I have provided, do the following. First, analyze this work of art formally. Be sure to see my videos on how to look at art. Second, research and answer these questions. Are the animals depicted at Lascaux observed by the artists? In other words, did these animals exist in the environment of the artists, or were they imaginary? Compare the artwork on both slides. How does the artist achieve a sense of motion? These animals were not hunted. What was the principal source of food for the people in this area if these animals were not the ones that they ate? Take a look at the Bradshaw Foundation for this information. And then thirdly, take a tour of the Cave of Bulls and other areas of the Lascaux Cave complex at the URL you see below. After you do that, ask yourself, what impressions did you get? How did you feel while you were looking at the configurations, at how they were placed on the walls, about how deep in the cave you had to go to see them? Finally, compare the drawing of the linear drawing that we saw in the last slide, this one, with this drawing by Pablo Picasso. He is at, or he is, well, he's such a cute little bull. I want to call him he. Maybe I'll name him. He is at the National Gallery in Washington, D.C., and you can do a search and find him there after you review the video. Stay tuned for the next video on YouTube.